I had a comment on my video about why volume is important to show examples. Now, it's not going to be easy to show examples of this because I ultimately have the volume and you have the volume control in your studio, but I'm going to do my best to give you some examples of getting your mix to translate and how you can use volume and why it's super important. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to Distinct Mastering. My name is Freddie. I'm a mastering engineer, producer, DJ, and president of Sleeping Giant Music. For over 2 decades, I've helped artists grow their careers, and now I'm here to help you with your music production skills. Now let's chat about why volume is important and how getting your mix to translate relates to the volume you're listening to in your environment. Okay, to touch on the comment that was left on my YouTube video about volume, I wanted to elaborate a little more on this topic because they wanted me to share some examples of how volume is important. And when I was talking in that video about mixing at nominal volume, it's very hard for me to give you an example of that because I have my control here and you can't necessarily hear what I'm hearing in my studio. And vice versa, I can't necessarily hear what you're hearing in your studio. But what I can do is elaborate a little bit more. And he wanted me to share some screen examples. So, it's hard for me to share screen examples of something that I'm listening to in my environment. But I will give you a little bit more detail on this lesson. So number one thing that you can benefit from when mixing at a lower volume is less ear fatigue. If you're constantly boosting your volume, you're going to make your ears tired, which is going to make bad decisions when you're mixing. So that's one benefit to listening at a nominal volume. Number 2 is you're going to hear volume imbalances a lot better if you are listening at a lower volume. A lot of times what I like to do is I'll be mixing at a nominal volume and then I might boost to hear what things sound like loud. But if I want to get something to sit right in the mix well, I like to turn the volume down sometimes. Another trick of mine is I like to mix in mono, and I did a whole video on that, which I'll leave you a link up above. But turning the volume down gives me the ability to find where things should sometimes sit. That way, when you turn it back up, it's going to be in a good spot and you're not going to get masked by the higher volume, which is what I'm going to give you a screen example of later when I discuss the Fletcher-Munson curve. The third thing that is going to benefit you from mixing at a decent nominal volume is better EQ accuracy. If you're boosting and cutting EQs with a loud volume, you're already hearing higher bass frequencies due to the Fletcher-Munson curve, which we'll get into a bit later. And you might make bad decisions. You might cut too much, or if you're listening at too low of a volume, you might boost too much, which is going to provide not the results you're looking for when you play that piece of music in a loud sound system, or vice versa, maybe in some small earbuds. So, you want to mix at a nominal volume and then check your mix at a high volume as well as a low volume. But overall, stay relatively low. I also get caught up when making music of turning it up. Everybody does. But when you're doing your mixing, I would recommend a nominal volume. Another tip to having a lower volume is dynamic processing gets a lot easier to hear. So when you start to use compressors, you'll be able to hear what the compressor's actually doing a little bit better. Now, you need to understand what compressors are doing and you need to be able to hear that as well. But this is just a tip that having a lower volume versus a louder volume, you'll be able to hear that dynamic processing a little bit more. Last but not least, louder volumes can trick your brain. Things appear wider, it sounds like there's more bass, there's more highs, and this is exactly what the Fletcher-Munson curve talks about. So I can't really give you an example of mixing in my studio because I'm the only one that can hear what's going on in here. But you can read up on the Fletcher-Munson curve and look at this graph and see how the human ear perceives frequencies at different sound levels. At louder sound levels, the human ear is going to pick up more bass and more highs, as you can see, than lower sound levels. Also notice around the 3K range, 3 to 4K is where the human ear picks up the most frequencies. And this curve, although it's a little hard to understand and I don't want to get into the specifics of this on this video, I suggest you read up on this yourself because this explains everything that you need to know. As you can see, this is the sound pressure level that your ear is coming in, and this is the equal loudness contours. and shows you how your ears perceive. And notice at different volumes, your ears perceive frequencies differently. So that is why it is very good to mix at a nominal volume and then maybe check something loud or check something low, but don't always mix with everything cranked up to the top, and don't always mix with everything cranked down to the bottom. Once again, it's very important. Volume is one of the most important things that you should check for when mixing. And I apologize, I'm not able to give you a volume example in my studio, but this is what you need to know when it comes to really specified details about volume. And that's another overview of why volume is important, and getting your mix to translate among many sources is super imperative when mixing your music. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Once again, my name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.